Welcome to the All of You podcast, where we believe healthy relationships are created by growing individually and pursuing a healthy relationship with yourself.
So let's take a deep breath. Settle in and grow together. You ready to do this thing?
Yep. How are you?
How am I?
Yeah.
I'm so good.
Tell me about it.
You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah. Tell me why you're so good.
I just, I woke up, I read, I did a workout, and I ate breakfast, and now I'm podcasting with my husband. I just don't really have a lot to complain about.
Dream life?
It's a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm loving the book I'm reading. Talked about it last week, but just loving the growth edge that I'm pushing myself to, kind of the awareness that's coming. I think it's like the more and more I read different books, the more I realize they kind of meet you where you're at. You can only gain the insights that like you're ready to gain, you know? I think if I would have done this book 5 years ago, it would have been way different than doing it today. And
by done it and doing it, you mean reading it?
No, because it's like a journal entry. Like it's more of
I've just never heard someone say it. I done the book.
There's a lot of activities in the book. I didn't. This book is more of a, what do you call it? Like a devotional almost. It's like 40 days of a challenge, 40-day challenge. I'm also up to 6 miles on my run now, running 6 miles.
Proud of you for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I got out in the water last week and was able to actually surf, which was nice. Yeah, just so much good happening right now, I feel like. And also hard, but everything's pretty good. So today,
oh gosh.
Yeah. We've tried to record this episode at least 3 other times.
I think this is the 5th.
You think it's the 5th? I was going to go 4th, but...
Oh, I know at least 3. And then, so the reason why we do this episode and then we listen to it and we go, nope, that was not good enough. And then we got to re-record it. And then one of the times we got one and we were like, we finally nailed it. And we had tech issues and we didn't actually record it.
I think we lost your camera or something.
Something happened.
Yeah, or your mic.
So here's my thought.
Yeah.
Whether we nail this one or not, we're releasing it.
Okay.
I think it's time.
It's time. Yeah.
Because if we can't do it perfect on the 4th or whatever number of try this is, I think we just got to go full send, let it be what it is.
Yeah, I think it's less about perfect and trying to do it perfect. And it's more about, for me, it's been about how important this topic is to me and not wanting to waste an episode. Like, I don't want to do another episode. We did that recently on denial, where we did one and then we're like, we didn't really do it justice and we just put both of them out. So we could have just done that, but.
Well, no other topic has been as impactful on our lives as learning about our self-talk. Can I speak for both of us in saying that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yes, you can. And I look back at when my life really changed, when I've had so many different growth spurts in my life, I like to call them. So when I look back at when I first really started to do deep inner work, I went to therapy and I learned a little bit about self-talk. And I learned a little bit about affirmations. I learned a little bit about some tools, but I didn't really grasp the concept. And I guess what I mean by grasp the concept is I didn't really disidentify. There's the concept of the self, and the self being, one-dimensional. Like you are who you are, and whatever you think you are. And so to really understand the concept of you are not your thoughts. That's what I was trying to say. I didn't grasp that until a certain point in my journey in this class. And when I did grasp it, everything broke open. Like that was the just monumental, I don't know, boulder in the way of my growth, was that I was identifying with my thoughts. And when you talk about negative self-talk, you have to first talk about where it's coming from and realize, what is self-talk?
Are you asking me?
Sure.
Self-talk is the voice in your head that's speaking to you. And it can be kind, like, we can totally do this, you got this, go for it. Or it can be critical and say things like, you're not smart enough, you're never going to make it, who do you think you are? It's that inner voice that speaks to you throughout the day. Honestly, almost all day, every day. It's that voice in your head who you're having a conversation with. And it's you, but it's not you. And that's really confusing. But the part that isn't you is the part that comes from conditioning, wounds, and like your early childhood.
Your autopilot, your subconscious.
Yeah. And so to make that maybe a little bit more digestible, an example could be when you're talking to yourself. Do you ever say something and go, oh my gosh, that sounded just like my dad? Or, oh my gosh, that's like my mom's voice in my head right now. That's because the voices that speak to you in your early childhood often become the voices in your head. And that can be a really beautiful thing. But also as a child, maybe you got in trouble and your parents yelled at you. And then that voice stuck in your head and it now comes out in moments. And the moments it comes out it doesn't come out correct. So just because you got in trouble when you were 5 for spilling the milk and your parent yelled like, what have you done? Doesn't mean that when you're about to start a new project and you're nervous about it, the voice in your head should be shouting, what have you done? And keep you from doing the project. So those voices can come out and be really unhelpful, which is why they're called negative self-talk. And the episode is not on positive self-talk because we love those voices. We want to keep them like no notes. We don't have a lot to say there. But changing the negative ones will change your life.
Yeah.
But little caveat, it is really hard because it's hard to disidentify with them. It's hard to actually catch a thought in your head, have the awareness to do this, really, of catching a thought in your head and questioning it of, oh, is that true? Do I believe that? And then deciding what you want to do with it. It's really, really challenging work. It's actually some of the hardest work I've done, so I don't want to understate that, but it is the most transformational work I've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Game changer. So I still have negative self-talk.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never want to come to this podcast from a place of like, I have arrived and I am perfect. No, of course I still have negative self-talk.
So I feel like I even woke up last night with some negative self-talk.
Ooh.
Yeah. I heard in the night like some rumbling outside. Like it was like maybe mice. It sounded like mice. It sounded like baby mice. Like there's a certain sound and I could hear it through the walls. And I was like, is it under the house? Is it in the laundry room? Because our laundry room's outside. Is it just outside? Where's it coming from? And it woke me up and I feel like I didn't sleep that well because for a little while there, I got really caught in a loop about all the projects like all the loose ends around the house. And when it comes to this old house, I can get really bad negative self-talk.
So go into more detail there, because saying you get bad self-talk about the house is confusing. So what are you saying?
So I feel like it's my responsibility to take care of the home in that way, like the outside of the home, if the roof leaks, it kind of is all a little bit on my side of the wheelhouse, you know? And so the negative self-talk can be things like, I think it's probably rooted from some disorganization. I know I can be kind of disorganized, and in life we have to prioritize, right? So I tend to try to prioritize the things that I feel like are most important at any given time. And a lot of my priority is my own mental health. And so I spend a lot of time reading. In the jobs that we're in now, I spend a lot of time educating myself, reading, taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, paying attention to my self-talk, journaling, meditating, and trying to really keep my mind, like take care of my mind, body, and spirit before I take care of the house. But when the house starts to when the house projects build up, like Sage's door in the bathroom isn't closing correctly, I need to fix that. Olive had trouble with it the other day, and it like almost fell on her, and I was like in my head about it after that. I was like, and so the negative self-talk can trigger in me this voice that goes, why didn't you do that already? You're not taking care of your kids. You're not taking care of your family. You're not being a responsible man around the house right now. You're not good enough. You're not, like a lot of like, you're not organized enough. You're not taking care of everything you need to take care of. What are you doing? And I know if I have to, and I've done this exercise because I've had to battle this self-talk so much that when I do the exercise and I've brought it to you and even like asked for support in it before, I've brought it to my coaches, and I go, when I look at everything in my life and what my kids need most, what my wife needs most, it's not necessarily all the house projects always dialed in. Although, man, would I like that. I spent all summer trying to dial in this house as much as I could, and I still have so many projects left over. What my kids need most, my wife needs most, is my presence and me being active in their life. Like they'd rather have the door not close properly for another week before I will get to it, but not like jump on it right then, and me be able to sit down in the evening and spend a little time with them, because that's their need. You know, their need right now is presence more than that other stuff.
Yeah, so I want to pause right there because I want to break down exactly what you just did. You stated what the problem was, which is house projects. What the self-talk is I'm not good enough. I'm not taking care of my family enough, right? And then you got to what the truth is. And that's part that I want to narrow in on, that because that's actually how we correct it, is questioning it and being able to go, is that true that I'm not enough because my daughter's door isn't closing correctly and I'm not taking care of her because it isn't closing correctly? Or is it okay that it isn't closing correctly right now, but I'm present with her and I'm giving her the attention she needs, and that's the priority, and I am in alignment? So that's kind of the questioning and the reframing. And I slow that down because that's the goal, is as that negative self-talk comes up, learning to get curious about it and question it helps to realize, oh, should I actually believe this? Do I believe this? Because so much of my negative self-talk, without questioning it, I believe it. When I question it, I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? That is wild. So I just wanted to break that down really quickly.
Yeah, I want to take it even a step further. And I think it has to do with it. I mean, we talk a lot about emotions on this podcast, and it triggers emotions in us. And so there is an emotion that I've always had underneath everything that's like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to be man enough, because growing up without a dad, like, it stems from my childhood. So figuring all that out was my work to do. And so I know all this. So when I get triggered in the night, last night it triggered me. I wasn't sleeping very well. Eventually I got up, I put headphones on because I didn't want to hear the mice scrummaging outside. It wasn't time to deal with it. I'm not going to go outside at 3 a.m. and deal with this. I need to get my sleep. And so I put my headphones on and I fell back asleep just fine. So like, I've learned proper tools to be able to do this, but 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that could have kept me up all night long. I remember a time actually when Olive was just born and I was building something, and I remember being so in my head about this thing that I was building and not feeling like I knew enough about the type of wood I needed and all this stuff that I remember staying up all night long, like weeks in a row, waking up in the middle of the night and Googling things on my phone, and like fell in the trap of like, I have to solve this problem, because that feeling underneath of not feeling good enough, when I could have like got good sleep, probably looked it up during the day and probably been more successful in it. But the anxiety underneath was burning. And so it's always like a feeling underneath that it's triggering, I'm not good enough, or I'm not. And I think a lot of times that's the way it is with self-talk. If you pay attention to it.
Hold on. I want to actually break that down, because that's a really beautiful example of, we think to get rid of the negative feelings in our body that are generated from the negative self-talk. So you think I'm not enough, and then you feel shame in your body, right? So we think to get rid of that feeling of shame, we need to solve the problem, fix the door, get rid of the mice, build the thing we're building. And then once we accomplish it, the feeling will go away. But
it's a trap.
That's a trap. What solves that feeling going away is smothering it in truth and getting into the reality that there can be mice and you can be enough.
Well, and the reality is, and this is what I told myself last night too, I could go out there right now and I could spend the next 12 nights fighting mice. Where we live, there will be more mice. We live on a 3/4 acre in like a horse neighborhood. Like there's a lot of ranch style homes out here. There's just a lot of mice and a lot of bunnies and rodents and stuff. So there's really not a lot I can do to, like, I could go on a full blown anxiety attack and try to rip apart the house, and there will be more mice.
Right. And I think what's interesting too is the other thing you did in the past was try to solve it by thinking through it. We try to get rid of this feeling by overthinking. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'll do this, 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 and then that's how I'll solve it, and all will be well.
Yeah.
And that overthinking is actually just under feeling.
Yeah.
Feel into what is happening in your body and realize, I'm feeling a ton of shame right now about there being mice in my house. That I shouldn't be feeling shame about that. What's actually happening? It's getting curious with the feelings and the thoughts and questioning all of it.
Yeah, like all that stuff would trigger shame from growing up without a dad. Like it was like me watching friends play sports or something with their dads and not having my dad there to help me. It's like that feeling in my body that gets triggered, and I hate that feeling. So I've had to do a ton of inner work to heal and reparent myself and take all the classes, do all the work, right? And I'm so thankful for the work because I now can go get headphones and go to sleep. When in my life before, like, it would keep me up at night. I mean, I'm the guy that would do a presentation for work, for a work project. And if I woke up at midnight the night before the project, I might go hop on the computer and redo the entire project. Like, that was who I was. I had that bad of anxiety, and it's crippling because then when I went to present it, it was self-sabotage because everything, the slides kind of wouldn't make sense because I did them at midnight. And also I didn't study them. I didn't like have as much time to integrate, what they really meant and the message and focus on my energy in the presentation. Instead, like, you need a good night's sleep before a presentation. You don't need perfect slides. And that's the anxiety of it all. But I want to go back a little bit even slower, because I think if you were to talk to me 10 years ago and tell me this, I would have no idea what you were talking about and probably have turned off this podcast already. Because I think before you can disidentify with the self-talk, you have to somehow develop an ear for that narrative. To me, if you would have been like, yeah, there's an internal narrative, I would have told you, what are you talking about? I don't hear it. I don't hear an inner voice. And like, there is no inner voice. That's just me. Like, I identified it with it so much that I didn't know I could question it. There wasn't, and that's the start to, like, you're not separating from the self, but you're just becoming aware of it, of the self-talk. Like, how did you start to even begin to notice your inner dialogue?
Great question. I would say that I got in the practice of noticing it when I really dove into my work in triggers. Because when you get triggered, which is basically an emotional overreaction, there's always, I don't want to say always, but like 99.9% of the time, negative self-talk comes up. And I was really working on trying to react better to my triggers, which requires you to go inward and figure out when you're triggered, what are you saying to yourself? Because that's a lot of why you react the way that you do. So every single time I got triggered, I would actually go through the AIR method, something that we actually teach people, and I would learn what my self-talk is. And we get triggered 10 to 15 times a day. That doesn't mean we're always reacting poorly, because triggers can be really small and they can also be really big. So even little triggers, when I started noticing in my body that I was triggered, it could be something as small as my boss giving me feedback, and the way that I received it would trigger me. And it would be really fair feedback, but it would trigger me. So I'd have to figure out, okay, what is the self-talk happening to me when my boss gives this feedback? So I learned all of this through noticing my triggers, my emotional reactions. And when I learned, okay, I feel this emotional reaction in my body, what am I telling myself? Because I'm going to slow this, I'll kind of slow this down, and hopefully this is easy to understand and helpful. But hey, friends, if you're struggling in your relationships, we want you to know we've been there and real change is possible.
So whether you're moving on from a breakup, working to strengthen your relationship, or just ready to show up differently in your life, we're here to help you out. Click the link in our bio and book a free 30-minute consultation with us, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together.
And if you're enjoying this episode, we would love it if you would like, subscribe, or share this podcast, because better relationships start with better conversations. Now back to the show. What we think affects how we feel, which affects how we behave. So if we get in a fight and I think Dave doesn't love me, I feel unworthy and unloved and rejected. And so I get in my car and storm off and leave. Thinking, feeling, behaving. If we get in a fight and in my head it pops up, Dave doesn't love me, and I go, whoa, that was an overreaction. Dave absolutely loves me. We are just getting in a fight about something super small. What a big reaction. Wonder where that came from. And I feel still mad at you, but overall okay. I'm going to be able to, my behavior is going to be, let's move towards conflict and solve this. What a crazy thought that was. And I'm going to behave positive. So triggers, which often come out, overreactions, they come out in things like a fight, but they can also come back out at feedback from your boss, something that your, mother said to you or your mother-in-law said to you, or a way a friend treated you. It can be 1,000 different things, but those are the easiest ways to start questioning your thoughts, because your negative self-talk is tied so tightly with your triggers. So that's where I started questioning it the most, because it was the most obvious on a day-to-day basis that I could use that muscle.
Yeah, and I think that we grow up kind of developing these coping mechanisms and these dialogues in our head, these belief systems that protect us from feeling pain or shame. And so one of my protective mechanisms was, when I felt that shame, I would get up at 3 a.m. and attack the problem so hard that it wouldn't be an issue anymore. And if I had to build a new house, I would build a new house. Like, I hate the feeling of shame in that way. But when I started to heal the shame, I could just go put headphones on, or I can get away. Like, the anxiety doesn't control me now. I can decide whether, if it's a big deal, if there was a rat inside the house, I might get up, like, probably couldn't, none of us could probably sleep if there was like a rat scrummaging across the bed. But so there are times to react, but you can choose, like, I have a choice to, like you said, you have a choice to monitor that self-talk or not. And just kind of, and that's the difference between letting anxiety run you or not, letting your emotions run you, letting your thoughts run your life or not. So, I always think of this one podcast I listened to of this guy who was like a billionaire, and I can't remember his name, but I don't think it was Andrew Tate. I think it was somebody else. But it was like this rich guy that was kind of all over the place. I don't even know why I was listening to it. But he basically said he has such a fear of being poor and he feels it like deep to the core, that he's still feels that, and it's still why he purchases businesses. So he's become a billionaire and he's still trying to get more money. And he's like admitting it. He's like, I just know I don't ever want to effing feel that way ever again. There's just that anger, like a overcompensation. That was so bad. I'm never going to feel that way again. And it's like, that's cool. Respect that you've earned, respect that you've taken your pain and turned it into $1 billion. But like, at what point are other things important? That fear is driving you so hard, and that you may not even care about your time with your kids or other things in life, right? love, relationship. Like there's so much other good in life other than just making money. And some people are just driven by their fear, driven by their self-talk. I don't think unless we do some work that we ever stop and like evaluate it from a third party perspective almost. Like you are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You can step back and analyze them.
I think it's really interesting to actually question, why do I do the things I do?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's thinking, feeling, behaving. So my behavior is the things that I do. Why do I do them? Am I acting from a place of woundedness and hurt and trying to avoid feeling feelings I don't want to feel? I did that for years financially. I put all my money in the bank because I thought money in the bank meant safety. I wasn't safe unless there was a lot of money in the bank. And the more and more and more money I put in savings, the feeling never got any better. No amount would stop me from feeling, or would make me feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I couldn't save my way to safety. I had to actually learn, why do I think that money is safety? Is that true? No, it's actually not true. In ways it is. Won't knock money, but in ways it's not. And it also keeps you from living your purpose. At least it did for me. I was chasing money so hard that I didn't care about chasing my calling because that feeling of safety was more important than pursuing my purpose. And that's operating from a wound.
Mm-hmm.
And our wounds are often where negative self-talk sprouts out of. That kid bullied you on the playground and told you were ugly. And you have this wound of insecurity when you look in the mirror and you don't think you're good looking. That's not true. You were wounded. And there's all sorts of wounds, but the negative talk in your head, and not everyone's going to love this, but I'm going to get a little spiritual here. God didn't put that there. When you were born as a perfect little baby, there were no wounds in you. You didn't believe all these negative beliefs that you now believe. Those didn't come with you from God. But over time, people hurt you. Situations happened and you might have misinterpreted the situation. Your dad could have been late for picking you up from school, and that made you feel like your dad didn't care about you and you weren't enough. But it turns out, your grandma had a medical emergency and he was late because he was in the hospital, right? But the way you interpreted it was that your dad doesn't care about you and you have an unworthiness wound. No, you just misinterpreted it. That's what the work is, figuring out, what is this wound? Why is it here? Should it be here? And spoiler alert, it shouldn't. We are divine creatures made in the image of God, but we walk around wounded because of all these things that happened to us, whether it was wounds from our childhood or conditioning situations. There's so many different factors, but the reality is, when you go inward into yourself and you start excavating, you'll find that all these little things that happen to you bred lies and untruth into you. And the work is going in there and rewiring. What are you rewiring? You're taking out the beliefs that are not for you, are not of God, and you're putting back in truth. The truth is you are enough. The truth is you're worthy. The truth is you have a purpose here on earth. The truth is that you're loved, and anything other than that is miswiring. And we talk about like do affirmations, and I am a big fan of affirmations. Don't get me wrong, but they are a surface level band-aid. And I love a good surface level band-aid. I'm not totally dissing affirmations, but what I am advocating for is like get in the trenches of your soul and rewire, and your life will be infinitely more abundant and lighter and in tune with God wants for you.
Yeah, it's like meditation is a lot of people use meditation like the work people do during meditation varies completely. Somebody could sit there on a meditation pillow or in a cold plunge or wherever you're meditating and go nowhere. They might just sit there on a meditation pillow and listen to their negative self-talk. Like just like you said, the affirmations are a band-aid or surface level band-aid. Anything can be, it's the depth is the depth that you're willing to go inside yourself. And what I find is that it's not like I can travel real deep one day all of a sudden. It's like I'm constantly shoveling and digging back. I got to a shallow point in my life, and then I had to do some digging and unconditioning and relearning and just digging and digging. And then I just go a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. You know, it's not like you may not just be able to sit down and go to that level of depth if you've never even been close to that. You know, like there's different experiences might help you. People do ayahuasca for this stuff. People do mushrooms, whatever your modality is that helps you get to that depth. Like I don't really care. The important thing is that you get there, you know, and just try to excavate the conditioning, the wrong conditioning that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that it's not okay to make mistakes, that it's not okay to try. Like so many people just don't try things because they think it's not safe to try. We're so scared. We're scared creatures.
Well, we play small to stay safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel safe to put yourself out there, to risk, to fail, to be seen. And so we think, well, I'll just stay small. And that's just a survival mechanism.
That's the self-talk. Like that's the stuff that we're talking about. Like getting in your own head and just journaling helped me a lot because you see it. You see your self-talk on paper and you start to go, whoa, where'd that come from? Reading certain books that have activities like the one I'm reading now is like helpful because it's a journaling activity, and sometimes people have sentence stems that you have to fill in the blank or kind of finish a sentence, and you're like, whoa, how'd that come out? But you have to be willing to not just write down some thing you already know. Sometimes you have to go, okay, let something deeper come up for me here. Like, am I willing to see what's really holding me back? You know, am I really willing to see a narrative that's kept me safe for so long? Because it's kind of painful to realize that you've been holding yourself back for so long.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to kind of tap on that. It's painful realizing that you've done things to hold yourself back. The other side of the coin is you learned those behaviors to keep yourself safe. And there was a time in your life where that was really helpful. And so I say that because don't beat yourself up for that behavior. Me saving all my money and storing it in the bank was really helpful at a time. And it did keep me safe at a time. And it's not an entirely bad thing. There are a lot of positives to it too. Did it hold me back from reaching my purpose and doing meaningful work? Yes. And that sucks. But it helped me survive at a time, and I can honor that coping mechanism and survival, I don't know, skill for what it was. So sometimes our wounds can actually, I don't know how to say this other than like there can be a silver lining to them. It's not always bad. That like I think a common one is people who don't grow up with a lot find they have insanely good work ethic because they want to prove their worth. Well, that's not entirely bad. Having work ethic is a really great thing. But if you're doing it to prove your worth, okay, not a great thing. So there's kind of hidden blessings in our pain as well. So have compassion with yourself as you're excavating, as you're finding these survival patterns in your body. It's okay to honor that it's not even okay. You should honor that it kept you safe and alive, and then allow yourself to go, but I don't need that anymore. And I'm good. And that's part of doing the work is actually talking to yourself about that, which actually kind of opens my mind to this whole other side of negative self-talk we didn't talk to of.
Still have a little bit longer if you want to go.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit more onto this, which is when you find the negative self-talk in your mind, a really helpful tool is one, reframe it, right? So if it's a very simple, basic one, like I am not worthy, switching that and saying I am worthy. But that's where inner child work can be so helpful in trying to go back to the child in you and closing your eyes, feeling into what it was like at that age and remembering that little girl, little boy, whoever you are. Often helps if you have like a picture you can look at of them and speaking to them and saying, hey, that situation that happened didn't mean you're unworthy. Here's what it actually meant. This is the truth, and you don't have to be scared. I've got you. Like, I'm older now and I can handle this. And that is really healing in being able to make yourself feel whole in that area that felt bruised.
Yeah. It's beautiful work. I mean, it's life changing, and that's why I know we already hit people with a coaching ad in the middle of this episode typically, but just that's why we're so passionate about this work, because when you can find someone that you feel really safe with to open up that inner child, to get back in there and speak from that place, they can be a mirror for your self-talk and actually point out, hey, that where's that coming from? Like, do you hear what I hear? Because it's hard to know yourself. The hardest person to know is yourself, because you don't watch yourself talk all the time. And believe me, I do it, and it's painful to watch myself talking when I edit this podcast. But when you have a narrative in your head, you don't always tell people that narrative, and you're just subconsciously spitting it out, and so you don't always catch it. So one tip that I do that I've gotten way better at now is just monitoring my own energy. And when I get into a difficult emotion, like throughout the day, if all of a sudden I feel insecure or I feel a certain emotion, a lot of times I just rewind the tape the last 5 minutes and go, what has my self-talk been the last 5 minutes? And a good chunk of the time, it's, I just was like talking about how I was talking to myself about how I'm not good enough, or I was comparing myself to someone else who's uber successful, or how I should have done XYZ a year ago, but I didn't know what I know now. So Like there's all these different ways that I was just talking to myself that then put me into a insecure mood or whatever emotion. And it's so self-sabotaging because we have these negative self-talk. We have this negative narrative in our head that then causes us to have you have the thinking, and then you have the feeling, and then the behaving isn't always negative. It's not always yelling at your partner. It's not always doing something like that. It's just the behavior might be scrolling. The behavior might be numbing. The behavior might be drinking. The behavior might be drugs or what. Like you might not see it as like, oh, I'm angry and breaking. I don't have that problem. I'm chill. It's like, well, okay, but are you doing behaviors that are helping you or hurting you in your life, in your career, in your relationships? And so it's really tough to come to terms with. I often snack. I can eat my emotions. And so when
I had the best emotional hot chocolate yesterday. I was avoiding, and I had hot chocolate at noon.
You did. You said that.
I said it out loud. I was like, I'm gonna cope
I give you
with hot
grace
chocolate.
when it's like a little hormonal, because I'm like, well, I'm not your monitor anyway. I'm not the police for you anyway. But like I as your partner, like when I see you do something like that and it's like hormones, I'm like, babe, have all the hot chocolate you want. Like, you know what I mean? And if you do struggle with this, or you don't know, like if you're unsure about if you even monitor your own self-talk, honestly, congratulations, because you're probably on the cusp of some big growth if you're starting to become more aware of it. The more you can become aware of it, I mean, the more it just changes your life.
And with all things growth, compassion on yourself as you come into awareness.
Definitely.
All right.
All right.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.